Hey everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of Linking to the Afterlife. This season will continue with our soul existence readings and connecting with your loved ones in spirit. We will also be adding a few organic chats with friends and episodes explaining more about communicating with the afterlife. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, see the show notes. Thanks for listening. Hello. What I'm going to talk about today might ruffle a few feathers in a few people. I'm going to talk about two things, maybe three, that may be stunting, stopping, or hindering the process of your spiritual growth, your personal growth, and your physical inner processing as a human right now. And I'm going to do a little warning right now. I am going to be talking about suicidal ideation and depression as it pertains to me. But I encourage you to listen, even though those things may be a warning for you. It's very important information that is trying its best to get out there in the world. But since I recognized this in myself almost 10 years ago, I have seen it not grow one iota. So I'm going to put it out this way. I've put it out a few other ways, but now I'm going to put it out on my podcast. The first food that could be doing this to you is sugar. That might be something you're all aware of and we all struggle with. I know I do, because sugar is one of those things that it's in most every product out there, unless you just eat vegetables, just eat raw foods, just eat certain things. However, if you're buying processed foods or even just regular canned foods, cereals, which is a big one for me because I love cereal, but I do not like them putting sugar in everything. If you read all your labels, I'm asking you to be aware of how much sugar and how sugar is put in so many things. And other people have said, and I've known in myself, that sugar does limit my spiritual growth. It limits my brain function. It limits my physical body in movement. It limits and changes a lot of things in my mind as well as my body. But I've learned a lot in my life. I had an addiction to food for as long as I can remember as a child, even, and how I didn't eat to gain attention. And when that didn't work, I overate. So I've had a very up and down relationship with food. Now I can recognize what part of me, whether it's my body that wants the food or my mind that wants the food, because of the work I've done over these last 20 years with raw food, with yoga, with meditation. And I've tried to quit and been successful taking sugar out of my life for short periods of time, but never long periods of time. And I've had to learn to realize that sugar controls the thoughts in my mind. When I went completely raw food for about 3 months, I'm not telling you this is for you, I'm saying this is what I did for 3 months. I noticed that I didn't just say to myself, you can't have sugar, Donna. But I also said to myself and heard within myself that I didn't want sugar. So I noticed the difference between those two thoughts. And that's because of the work I've been doing. At one point, I got a very real dream from spirit. I was standing in this dream in front of a mirror talking to my doctor, and I was short. And I said to my doctor, look, I'm short. And my doctor said, I don't know what you're talking about. You look fine. You look exactly the way you look to me as you do in the mirror. And in that dream, spirit said to me, sugar is stunting your spiritual growth. I came out of that dream and said out loud to spirit, well, clearly I can't cut this habit. What do I need? And spirit said to me again, very clearly, you never asked us. So in that moment, I asked Spirit, please, can you help me cut sugar completely out of my life? And it happened. It happened for a longer period of time. Now, if I eat sugar, I can substitute it for some of the more natural sugars, and I'll put that in quotes. But if I'm going to eat sugar and it's something really good that I want, I'm going to eat it with a conscious thought that this is what my body is telling me I can eat right now. And I'm going to ask my body to eliminate all the things in this sugar product that I don't need. So I'm in conscious communication at all times with my body by using the thoughts in my head as practice. Again, it's not easy shopping for those things. I tend to make a lot for myself. I tend to myself stick to the bland foods. I'm very okay with eating bland foods. That's me. That's my MO. And I have stomach issues. I have scar tissue in my stomach that I developed as a child when I had ulcers. And when I was 20 and had some very challenging stomach issues, the doctor did the old scope thing and said, you have a lot of scar tissue in your stomach. Now, that didn't really affect me until I was this age, but it does affect me now. So I have to be very careful with what I eat. The second thing I'm going to tell you that affects and stunts your spiritual, may hinder your ability to meditate, to calm your anxiety, is garlic as well as onions. I'll tell you my story first. About 10 years ago, I was eating garlic. I was eating it like I've always been eating it, not really recognizing it was in and is in so much of our food products, just like sugar. Garlic is in everything. And my cousin at the time was heavy into cooking Italian food. So he put a lot of garlic. As I was becoming a medium, as I started seeing spirit, I was detoxifying my body even more from other thoughts that were going through. And I wanted my body to have as much energy as it could to process other things that were going on, whether it was past life or my connection with spirits. I wanted to give it and my mind everything it needed. I did a lot of juicing. I did a lot of cleansing back then. And there were nights after I had dinner where I'd be lying in bed and having suicidal thoughts. I was gripping my bed because I knew those thoughts were not me. However, they were present in my mind at the time. And I wasn't just thinking about taking my life, because I've had depression my entire life. And I wasn't just thinking about, well, I want to go away because this pain is too much. I was thinking about how I could do it. And I knew that wasn't me, but I hung on for literally dear life. And if I fell asleep and then I woke up the next day, it was gone. It took me months to recognize I was having a food intolerance to garlic. I called it an allergy at that time. It had to happen a few more times before I made that connection. But I was speaking to my cousin about the feelings I was having at night after I ate, and we broke down what was in the food. I didn't find anything online, but I knew I had to take garlic completely out of my diet. And as I shopped for foods, reading every label, I noticed that garlic was in everything. Now, I know I'm going to hear a lot about, well, garlic is so good for you. It does this, that, and the other thing. But there are a lot of other things that also can have that effect on the human body, meaning whether it's healing or reducing inflammation, whatever garlic you use garlic for, there are other things that you can use it for. I knew my life was more important than all the other things that were going on. So I chose to take garlic and onions completely out of my diet, completely out of my diet. To this day, I have to be very careful, very extremely careful when I go into restaurants. So garlic wasn't just affecting my mind, it was affecting my stomach. I was also getting stomach aches. So if I get it in a small dose, like in a canned food, they hide it in many things, read your labels, I would get a stomach ache. I wouldn't get the mental, the emotional stuff with it, but I was getting acid reflux. I was getting stomach problems. But again, it went away after a few hours. So what I'm going to do right now is just read you a couple of things. It was in 2016 when I was speaking with someone else at the health institute that I was working. I was speaking with her and she said she has the same challenges with garlic and onions. And she said it's a food intolerance. She gave me a bunch of sites to go research. She said, just Google garlic and yogis. And that's what I did. So I'm going to read you a few things about what garlic does, what I found out about garlic. I'm going to read you a few things. That garlic desynchronizes your brain waves. This means it makes your alpha waves go away and replaces them with all beta waves, which then makes you tense and anxious. And that's what I was feeling, along with the suicidal ideation. According to yogis and Ayurvedic doctors, garlic will agitate and dull the mind and the lower chakras and is therefore not conducive to a contemplative lifestyle. So if you're challenged a lot by sitting in meditation, that your thoughts run away. Now, thoughts run away with all of us. That's what meditation does. It forces us to look at our thoughts. But if you're challenged more, let's say you're depressed, let's say you're anxious, let's say you have ADHD, try to take garlic completely out of your diet. It's not going to hurt. And then once you become clear, let's say a couple of weeks, I'm not a doctor, but this isn't something you have to check with your doctor. It's taking a food out. It's realizing what may be your allergic reaction, your food intolerance might be, just the way you do with dairy or wheat or gluten. So I believe truly that it does affect everyone's physical body, garlic, just as I believe dairy does and gluten does. However, not all of us feel that. So when you eat garlic, you can't ground and you can't ascend because it splits the brain in half. This leaves you in a between state and is not at all conducive to meditation. Onions and garlic are also not included in the yogic diet. I did a lot of yogic training and spiritual training at Kripalu, and they put a lot of garlic in things because that's what they think everybody likes. I'm amazed at how many people just have to have garlic. They love garlic. They'll eat it raw. They'll eat it every day. Those kind of words that come out of people's mouth, if you have to have something, I feel it's the same thing like sugar. Like it's your mind telling you, I have to have sugar. I have to have garlic. I love garlic. Just start to be aware of the thoughts that you have. I'm a firm believer now because of all this training I've done in the last 30 years with healthy living and healthy food and alternative lifestyles, that anything that you need every day is telling you something. Like, I need this every day. Now, of course, I have certain supplements that I take every day. I also have tea that I, instead of taking supplements for cinnamon, turmeric, and ginger, I put organic powder in my tea, in my hot water. And I put a little honey, and that's what I drink every day for my inflammation, for my allergies. So I don't use supplements or tea bags. I just put powder directly in hot water and just drink it that way. So a little bit more. Onions, same. They have that same effect, making people irritable. And garlic have a way of stimulating the body and the mind in a negative way. Garlic and onions are also considered harmful to the stomach, liver, the eyes, and will cause dizziness, scattered energy when consumed in moderate amounts. So you only have to have a moderate amount of it to have it affect you. And I'll go back to my experience with this because my body, I was working on cleaning it out. I was working on that direct connection with spirit. That's what I did when I was becoming a medium. And spirit gave me that opportunity to say, Donna, your body can't do this because you won't be able to connect with us if you continue eating these things, sugar and garlic. Reiki practitioners explain that garlic and onions are among the first substances to be expelled from a person's system when they're detoxing, along with tobacco, alcohol, and pharmaceuticals, any medications. That in of itself is huge to say that they're on the same level as alcohol, tobacco, and pharmaceutical medications. In and of itself, that's big. Organic gardeners, I just found this out when I was Googling research for this to give you more information. Organic gardeners know that garlic will kill all insects. That's got to tell you something there. Told me something. There's also, we said this before, and also a connection with an imbalanced gut and brain health when you consume garlic and onions regularly in your diet. And I'll say again, a lot of us, not me, but a lot of us put garlic in everything. My mom loved it. She was, whatever you can do, just put it raw, put it in the oven a little bit, toast it, and just spread it right on your bread, Donna. And I said, I can't do it, Mom. I am deathly afraid of it. I tell restaurants that I'm deathly allergic to it, but that just means that my mind will take me to a place that might put me in a place where I might end my own life. I'm not going to put myself in a position. Most restaurants are very good. Other restaurants don't want to have anything to do with me, so I don't eat there. But I read every label if I pick something off the shelf, even if it's spaghetti sauce. Now they have, this was 10 years ago, and they didn't have spaghetti sauce on the shelves that didn't contain garlic or onions. Now they do. They actually have spaghetti sauce out there, you can Google it, that doesn't have garlic, doesn't have onions, and doesn't have sugar. And they promote it that way because they know this, but they want to have their food available to everybody. Everybody has their own opinions. You can do with this information whatever you choose. I am telling you my experience with garlic and onions. I read online just recently that, you know how pilots have to take tests every once in a while. They have to prove they're able to keep flying. And there was a flight surgeon that used to come in to all of these tests and tell everybody, don't you dare touch garlic. This is a quote. Don't you dare touch any garlic 72 hours before you fly one of your airplanes, because it will double or triple your reaction time. You are 3 times slower in your reaction time than you would be if you'd not had any garlic in your diet. That says a lot too. Again, it affects your brain, it affects your functions, your anxiety, it'll give you more depression. I've been telling many doctors, every doctor that I see, I tell them about this reaction that I have to garlic, because not a lot of people take it as far as I do. People may say they get a stomach ache, they may feel lightheaded, they may feel nauseous, but no one's ever taken it. And these doctors take that on. I said, look, just tell a client or ask a practitioner, another practitioner, or one of your patients, if they're having depression, do they eat a lot of garlic? Garlic is one food that will penetrate all the barriers of the brain, including the corpus callosum. Hope I said that right. This corpus callosum is a broad band of nerve fibers joining the 2 hemispheres of the brain. So like I said before, garlic splits the brain, won't allow you to ascend in meditation, won't allow you to ground. So in meditation, you need to really have both of those things in check. But if garlic and onions are going to put you in that in-between state, you're going to be challenged by both. Trying to, when I say ascend, it means trying to connect to that spirit world, to that oneness. And also, how do I ground my body? How do I remain present? How do I stay here without those thoughts in my head, making me a little anxious? For me, it was suicidal ideation. And I don't want to ever be in that place again. One night when I was working at this health institute, the chef there would always put it in the raw food, even put raw garlic in a lot of the raw food. So I ate something one night and I always told her, you know, I can't have garlic. She said, don't worry, this doesn't have garlic in it. And I went to bed that night and I woke up in the middle of the night and I was in deep fear of my life. I almost called my brother, but I was able to get through it, but I had all those effects. Next morning, I went right to the chef and I said, was there garlic in what you gave me? She said, I'm so sorry. There was. I just said, you have to realize what that does to me. And if we are dealing with people when we're trying to meditate, when we're detoxing, it's fighting against yourself. You're just fighting against everything in your body that wants to detox. Your body inherently wants to detox. It wants to get rid of the things that it doesn't need. So if you're using foods, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, any of those things that will stunt that process because your body is so busy now getting rid of all those other things that it can't help you. It can't process emotions. It can't help you meditate. All of those things are going to affect you. All of those things will affect you. Okay, I'm just going to read through my notes here and make sure I've got everything that I wanted to say. So if you have any of these symptoms that I've mentioned so far and you find it challenging, just try going off garlic for a bit. Let's just say 2 weeks. You might immediately notice that there's something different about you. And then if you want to introduce it slowly, notice if there's something different. If those thoughts of calm now didn't stay when you started garlic again. So again, it's in most processed foods, and many of us use it in cooking. I'm asking you right now, knowing what you know about me and where I've gone over the last 30 years, the cleaner your body is inside and out, the more you're going to react to these sort of things, whether it's alcohol, whether it's garlic, whether it's onion, whether it's smoking. Your body wants to get rid of these things. Let's cleanse ourselves from garlic, from onions. Just try to take them out. But I'm also going to ask you, when you go through the grocery store and you pick up the things that you routinely pick up, canned items, frozen foods, even organic products from a box or from a can, to read all the label, read the full label. Garlic, they say, what I've read, is they have to put that on the label. They have to put it as garlic. They can't just say spices, and you would assume that garlic would be in spices. Well, there's no guarantee of that. I'm telling you there's no guarantee of that because I've emailed people. I've asked grocery stores, can you tell me what spices mean? Again, I have to eat very clean for my body, and I have to eat in moderation. If there's at any point where I'm stuck on something, like I have to have sugar now, the only way I can get off sugar completely, and I am at that point most of the times, if I go travel and I'm with my daughter in New York, you bet I'm going to buy something that tastes good. But I'm going to say, I'm going to eat this with joy, and I'm not going to eat it with the guilt and the shame that I normally have. So I allow my body to eliminate whatever is in the product. And I'm a bigger fan of, okay, if I'm going to have something sugary, I'm going to go right to the bakery where they use just 5 or 6 products in their baked goods. So that's what I'm going to do. Read every label. I am happy to answer questions, but to be true to yourself and to find out the information for yourself, Google negative effects of garlic and onions, Google garlic and yogis. And I really, by putting this out there, hope that anybody listening here will also put it out to their groups, to their friends, to their colleagues, to their loved ones, anyone that's suffering from depression or trying to meditate, but say, I just don't know what happens. Every time I sit, my mind just goes off the wall. It's everywhere. My mind does too, but it's easier for me when my body is clean. It's easier for me to watch those thoughts, to ask them if there's anything specific they need to tell me. And if not, I allow them to pass without the guilt, the shame, the judgment, the denial. That's what I'm asking of all of you right now. Whew, that was a big one for me. I love telling this story. I've told this to many, many people, but now I have this platform of social media and my podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate the reviews. I appreciate the star ratings. If you have any questions, you can certainly shoot me an email, dboylemedium@gmail.com. I'm happy to respond with the best information that I have and what I've gone through. This is my story. Do what your body and what your mind feels it needs for itself, for you. Thanks again for listening. Talk to you next time on the podcast. Take care, everybody.